Good day, everyone. For today's discussion is we will discuss on compression algorithm. What is compression algorithm? So compression algorithms are tools that help reduce the size of data. Think about the data you stored on your computer, such as photos, videos, or documents. These files can take up a lot of space, making it harder to store or share them. So with the use of the compression algorithm, it shrinks these files, making them smaller without losing important information. So this is useful because smaller files are quicker to send, easier to store, and faster to download. For example, if you have a large video file, a compression algorithm can make it smaller so you can upload or stream it more quickly. Also, it helps in storing files on your computer or cloud storage, saving space for other files. In short, compression algorithms help make digital files more manageable and efficient for use in our daily lives. And also, it is just like a smart tools that help make files smaller by finding ways to store the same information in less space. For example, if you have a long piece of text or data with repeated words or patterns, a compression algorithm looks at these repeated parts and tries to save space by replacing them with shorter codes. This is like if you were writing a long sentence over and over and then decided to write a shorthand version instead. For example, you have an original file, a string like 10101010101010 and many times. So the compression algorithms, it will notice that the patterns repeats and could shorten it, turning the long sequence into something more compact like a compressed file. In short, a compression algorithm makes files smaller by identifying patterns and replacing them with shorter, simpler codes, helping to save space with for storage or transmission. So the main purpose or goal of compression algorithm again is to reduce the size of data. This is important because we know that large files take up a lot of space, which can be a problem when storing or sending them. Compression algorithm help make files smaller, which makes it easier to store data on devices like computers and smartphones, send data more efficiently over the internet, and smaller files take up less space and can be transmitted faster. So, for example, if you have a large file with a repeated data, just like shown in the previous slide, a compression algorithm will shrink the file by eliminating the repeated parts. So it has a transformation from the original file to the compressed file. So this type of process makes the file smaller and quicker to store and send, which is very useful when you are dealing with files like video, images, or large documents. So in short, with the use of compression algorithm, it makes everything more efficient. And compression algorithm comes in two main types, the lossless and loosey. So each type has different uses depending on whether you need to keep all the original details or if you can afford to lose some information to save more space. So let us tackle first the lossless compression. What is a lossless compression? Lossless compression reduces the file size without losing any information. It means that when you decompress or expand the file, it will be exactly the same as the original with no data missing. So how does lossless compression work? So lossless compression works by finding repeated patterns or parts in the data and replacing them with shorter codes. For example, if a document uses the word the many times, lossless compression might replace all occurrences of the with a shorter code, like one. When you decompress the file, the word one will be torn back into the, and the file will be just as it was originally. So the common uses of lossless compression is it is used for text files, software programs, or any type of data where it's essential to keep everything exactly the same as the original. Examples include zip files, which can hold many types of files while keeping them intact, and PNG images, a common image format that doesn't lose quality when compressed. In short, lossless compression is great when you need to keep all the details of your data without any loss of quality or information. For example, as we can see that we have the original GPG, and as it was compressed into a lossless compressed format, we can see that it is still intact and it doesn't lose any information. Next is the lossy type of compression. So what is lossy compression? Lossy compression reduces the size of a file by removing some data that might not be noticed or needed. However, the key difference is that when you decompress the file, it does not return to its exact original form. So some details are permanently lost. The result is a smaller file but with a slight loss in a quality. So how does lossy compression work? It removes part of the data that are considered less important or things that people are less likely to notice. For example, in an image, it might remove similar colors that don't make a big difference to how the image looks, thereby making the file size smaller but slightly lowering the image quality. So the common uses of lossy compression is most commonly used for images, audio, and videos such as JPEG photos, MP3 music files, streaming videos like YouTube. So this type of compression is very useful when saving space is more important than preserving any tiny detail, especially for media files where slight loss of quality might not be noticeable to the viewer or listener. In short, the lossy compression sacrifices the quality to reduce file size, which is great things for photos, music, or videos where some loss in detail is acceptable. So for example, as we can see that the lossy compression, it has lost some of its quality. So the common lossless compression algorithm, so the top lossless compression are the Huffman coding, Limpel-Zib-Welch, run length encoding, and deflate. What is Huffman coding? Huffman coding is a technique that helps reduce the size of data by assigning shorter codes to more frequent characters and longer codes to less frequent characters. So it makes the data more efficient before because it uses fewer bits to represent the most common characters. So how does it works? Huffman coding works by looking at how often each characters appear in the data. For example, If you have a piece of text where the letter E appears frequently, Huffman coding will give E a shorter binary code, just like 01, because it appears more often. On the other hand, for example, a less common letter like Z might get a longer binary code like 101010 because it is used less often. So, as what we can see, that E might be replaced with a short code, while Z, the less frequent letter, might get a longer code. So, the common uses of Huffman coding is in the file formats like JPEG and PNG. So as part of their compression process, it helps to make these files smaller by efficiently encoding the most common data while still keeping everything understandable when the file is open again. In short, Huffman coding is a smart way of saving space by giving shorter codes to more common data and longer codes to less common data, making files more efficient to store and transfer. Next is the Lempel Ziv Welch. So the LZW compression, it builds a dictionary of repeated patterns or sequences as it processes the data. So when it detects a repeated sequence, it replaces it with a shorter code that points to the first occurrence of that sequence in the dictionary. So how does LZW works? So for example, LZW is looking at your data, for example, text or image. So it starts creating a list or dictionary of common sequences that appear. So if you have a repeated words or phrase, LZW will replace each repetition with a code that refers to the first time that sequence was seen in the dictionary. For example, if you have a file with repeated words like apple or phrases like hello world, LZW might replace each apple na word with a code like 1 and each hello word with a code like 2. So instead of writing out Apple every time, it just uses the shorter code. So the common uses of LZW is used in GIF images and in older file formats like TIFF and Unix Compress. So these formats use LZW to help compress data more efficiently. In short, LZW works by spotting repeated patterns in data and replacing them with shorter codes that refer to the first occurrence in the dictionary, making files smaller and more efficient. Next is the run length encoding or RLE. So RLA compresses data by replacing sequences of the same value with a single value and a count of how many times it repeats. So this is especially useful when you have data with lots of repeated elements. So how does RLE works? So in RLE, instead of writing the same value over and over, it stores the value once and adds a count to tell you how many times it repeats. So imagine you have a row of 10 black pixels followed by 5 white pixels. So without compression, you would write B B B B B B B B B B W W W, which symbolize the black pixels and white pixels. So with RLE, this can be compressed as 10B, comma, 5W. It means 10 black pixels and 5 white pixels. So the common uses of RLE is it is often used in single image formats like BMP or a bitmap images, which often contain large areas of the same color, and in fax machines, which use it to compress black and white images efficiently. So, in short, RLA is a simple way to compress repetitive data by counting how many times a value repeats, which helps reduce the size of a file, especially when there are long sequences of the same thing. Lastly, for the lossless algorithm, so the deflate algorithm. So the deflate algorithm is a combination of two techniques. The LZ77, which is a sliding window compress method, which finds repeated sequences in the data, and the Hoffman coding, which is a method that compresses data by assigning shorter codes to more frequent characters, which is based on character frequency. So, together, the two methods work to compress data efficiently by finding repeated sequences and replacing them with variable length code. So the shorter codes for more common sequences and longer ones for less frequent sequences. So how does it works? So LZ77 looks for repeated sequences in the data and stores them as pointers to the first occurrence of the sequence, while the Hoffman coding is then applied after the LZ77 to encode individual characters or phrases with variable length codes, making the entire data more compact. For example, if you have a text file that contains repeated phrases like hello world multiple times, the deflate algorithm would replace each repetition with a pointer to the first occurrence of the phrase. Then it would use Huffman codes for each individual character in the file. So the common uses of the deflate is in zip file format for compressed archives, gzip, a file compression tool, and the PNG, which is a popular image format. So because of deflate efficiency, it is one of the most common compression methods used today. In short, deflate combines two powerful techniques to create highly efficient compressed files that are used in a wide range of applications, from image formats to file compression tools. Then the common Lucy algorithm are JPEG, MP3, MPEG, AAC, and HEVC. So, what is JPEG compression? A JPEG compression is a technique used to reduce image size. It works by breaking the image into smaller blocks and transforming them into a frequency domain using a method called discrete cosine transform, or the DCT. So once the image is in the frequency domain, the less important frequency components are then removed. So these components are typically things that the human eye would not notice, such as subtle color variations or very fine details. So how does JPEG works? So first is the image is divided into small blocks, usually 8 by 8 na pixels. And then, the discrete cosine transform is applied para ma-convert ang image data into frequency. So, the less important na frequency are discarded or removed, thus reducing the file size while still maintaining a good visual quality. For example, in a photo, a small color variations that the human eye might not notice are discarded. So, for instance, slight color changes in shadows or between similar areas in the image are removed, which helps reduce the file size significantly. The common uses of JPEG is the most common format used for photograph on the web. It is widely used in digital cameras, social media platforms, and websites. So, because of its compression efficiency and the fact that the loss in quality is often not noticeable to the human eye, JPEG is one of the most popular image format today. In short, the JPEG compression helps make image files smaller by removing tiny details that we might not notice, making it ideal for photos on the web and digital media. Next is the MP3 compression. So MP3 is a compression technique for audio files. It works by removing frequency that are less audible to the human ear based on psychoacoustic model that study how humans perceive sound. So after removing the less important sounds, MP3 then encodes the remaining data more efficiently, making the file size smaller. So how does MP3 compression works? So MP3 compression takes advantage of the fact that the human ear cannot detect all frequency equally. So for example, a high-pitched sounds or background noise that are not noticeable to most people are removed during compression. So this process make the file smaller but does not noticeably affect the sound quality for most listeners. For example, a song might have high-pitched sounds or background noise removed which reduces the file size. The result is a smaller file, but the sound quality still remains good for the majority of listeners. The common uses of MP3 compression is one of the most popular formats for music files and podcasts. It is widely used for streaming audio, downloading audio content, storing music and audio files on device. Thus, MP3 compression helps make audio files much smaller by removing sounds that the human ear is likely to notice. So making it one of the most efficient and commonly used audio format. Next is the MPEG or the Moving Picture Experts Group. So, what is MPEG compression? So, MPEG compresses video by removing redundant data between frames and within frames. It uses techniques like motion prediction, which helps predict the movement in the video, so only the changes are stored. And also, it uses discrete cosine transform. This is a technique to reduce unnecessary data by focusing on the parts of the image that matters most visually. So how does MPEG works? In a video, there are often static parts. For example, a background that does not change. And dynamic parts like a moving character or object. So MPEG encodes the static parts once and reuses them in every frame. It only updates the moving parts by reducing the file size. So, for instance, if you have a video with a static background and a moving character, MPEG will only store the background once and update the moving character in each frame. This drastically reduces the file size. So the common uses of MPEG, such as MPEG-2 and MPEG-4, are widely used in digital TV broadcast, DVDs, Blu-rays, online video streaming like YouTube and Netflix. So MP compression helps save space by storing only the parts of the video that change, like the moving object, while reusing the static parts, making it highly efficient for video format. Next is the AAC or Advanced Audio Coding. So what is AAC compression? So AAC improves on the popular MP3 format by using more advanced technique to remove frequency that are inaudible to the human ear, further compressing audio data. The result is that AAC provides better sound quality at the same bit rate as MP3, meaning you can get higher quality audio in the same file size. So how does it work? So similar to MP3, ang AAC removes frequencies that we cannot hear, but it uses more sophisticated method to do this. This allows it to compress audio in a way that maintains better sound quality, even when the file size is kept small. So, example, in an audio file, subtle high-pitched sounds that are not noticeable to most listeners might be removed, making the file smaller without affecting the listening experience. So its common uses is it is used widely in streaming platforms and music services such as Apple Music, YouTube, and iTunes. So in short, AAC is an improved audio format that delivers better sound quality while keeping file size small, making it ideal for streaming and digital music platform. Lastly is the HEVC or high efficiency video coding. So HEVC is a type of video compression. When we say again compression, it makes a video file smaller so it will take up least storage space and easier to upload, download, or stream. So before HEVC, many videos use H.264. HEVC is an improved version because it can make video files smaller while still keeping good video quality. For example, imagine you have a 4K video. A 4K video usually has a very large file size because it has a very clear and detailed images. If we use HEVC, the video can become smaller in file size, but it can still look clear to the viewer. So HEVC does this by using smarter technique. So one of its technique is the motion prediction. So it means that the system looks at what part of the video are moving and what parts are staying the same. For example, if a person is talking and the background does not change much, HEVC does not need to save the background again and again. And then another is it uses a technique that is called black base compression. So it means that the video is divided into small parts of blacks and the system check which part can be compressed without greatly affecting the quality. HEVC is commonly used in Netflix, 4K Blu-ray discs, and video conferencing apps because these platforms need to deliver clear videos without using too much internet data or storage. So in simple words, HEVC helps videos become smaller, easier to stream, and still visually clear. So, how does compression algorithm work? Compression algorithm work by finding ways to represent data more efficiently, reducing the amount of space needed to store or transmit that data. There are different techniques used by this algorithm depending on whether the compression is lossless or lossy. Example for the how the algorithm works, we have the entropy encoding, dictionary-based models, transform coding, and prediction-based compression. So, what is entropy encoding? Entropy encoding is a technique used in lossless compression. Again, when we say lossless, it means that when the file is compressed and then opened again, the original data is still exactly the same. Nothing is removed or lost. So the main idea in entropy encoding is simple. Things that appear often are given shorter codes, while things that appear rarely are given longer codes. So, for example, in a text file, the letter E usually appears many times. So, since it is common, the computer can assign it a short code like 01. On the other hand, a letter Z might appear less, so it can assign a longer code like 1101. So this reduce the file size because the shorter codes are used more frequently. So instead of using the same length of code for every character, entropy encoding saves space by being smarter about how it represents the data. You can compare it to writing notes. So if you use a word many times, you might create an abbreviation for it. For example, instead of writing compression again and again, you might write comp. So this saves time and space. Entropy encoding works in a similar way, but it uses code. So as we can see on the diagram, so it shows how entropy encoding in image compression works. So first is the original message or image goes through an encoder where it is transformed and compressed into a smaller bit stream. Then the decoder reads the bit stream and reconstruct the image. Since entropy encoding is lossless, the important data can still be recovered. So in simple words, entropy encoding makes files smaller by giving short codes to common data and longer codes to rare data. Next is the dictionary-based method. So what is dictionary-based compression? So this is a technique used in lossless compression, which means again that it reduces the size of a file, but that does not lose any information. So the idea behind this technique is very simple. Imagine a dictionary, but instead of words, it stores pattern or sequences of data. So when the same data or patterns appear multiple times, instead of repeating the same information, the system just put a reference to the pattern in the dictionary. So this saves a lot of space. For example, Let's say you have the phrase, the quick brown fox, appearing several times in a document. So instead of writing out that whole phrase every time, the algorithm can store the phrase once in the dictionary. Then, when the phrase appears again, it replaces it with a short reference to the dictionary entry, which take up much less space. So, the compression works by finding repeated patterns and storing them in a dictionary. As the algorithm processes the data, it builds the dictionary dynamically, adding new sequences as it encounters them. So, the dictionary based method is especially useful in files where the same words or patterns appear often. So, as we can see on the image on the slide, it shows a dynamic dictionary, growing as the algorithm finds repeated patterns. It also shows match blocks, which represent the repeated sequences that will be replaced by references to the dictionary. In simple word, the dictionary-based compression, it saves space by replacing repeated data with shorter reference to a stored dictionary entry. Next is the transform coding. It is a technique used in lossy compression that involves transforming data into a different form before compressing it. This transformation helps the algorithm find and remove parts of the data that are less important while keeping the important parts intact. The idea behind transform coding is to change the data into a domain that is better suited for compression. In this domain, we can easily identify and discard information that does not affect the quality match. For example, in JPEG image compression, when we compress an image like JPEG, the image is divided into small blocks. And then each block is then transformed using a technique called discrete cosine transform. The DCT helps convert the image data into different frequency component. After the transformation, the less important frequency components or the ones that don't affect the image much are discarded or removed, which reduces the file size. The result is a much smaller image file, but the visual quality is still maintained because the most important information, like the edges and shapes, are preserved. So as we can see on the diagram on the leftmost, the first, the image is split and transformed. Then, the energy compression and quantization are applied to remove the unimportant parts. Finally, entropy encoding is used to compress the data even more. When the image is decoded, it is reconstructed, keeping most of the original quality. In simple words, transform coding helps compress data by removing less important details, reducing the file size, while still keeping the quality high enough for viewing or use. Then the prediction based compression. So it is a method that works by predicting future data points based on previous ones. So this technique is mostly used in lossy compression, which means again that some of the original data is discarded or removed to reduce file size. In this method, instead of saving the full data, only the differences between the predicted data and the actual data are stored. For example, in a video compression, the system looks at one frame or a single image, and it tries to predict what the next frame will look like. Since frames in a video usually don't change much from one to the next, the prediction is often very accurate. So instead of storing the whole next frame, the algorithm only stores the differences between the predicted frame and the actual frame. For example, if you have a video of a person running, and in one frame, the person is at position X, the system will predict that in the next frame, the person will be at position Y. So if the person's movement is smooth, the difference between the predicted frame and the actual frame will be very small. Only that small difference is stored, which saves a lot of data. So why is it useful? Because it reduces the amount of data, because it is much smaller to store the differences than to store the entire frame. This is especially useful in videos or images that change very little from one moment to the next. So as that we can see on the diagram, it uses a prediction module to predict the next frame and compares it to the actual frame, storing only the difference. This method helps compress the data while still maintaining a good level of quality. Although some data is lost in the process, which is why we called it lossy compression. So in simple words, a prediction-based compression guesses what comes next and only saves the small differences, making the file size smaller and easier to store. And last is the run length encoding or RLE, which is a straightforward technique used for compressing data, and it is a lossless method. It means that when the data is compressed and then opened again, it is exactly the same as it was before. So RLE works by replacing sequences of repeated data with a single value and a count. So instead of storing the same thing over and over again, it stores how many times the data repeats. For example, let's say you have an image with a row of 10 red pixels, which symbolize as R, followed by 5 blue pixels, B. So instead of storing each individual pixels, the RLE would store the sequence like this: 10R and 5B. So it means that we have 10 red pixels and 5 blue pixels instead of saving a long list of colors. So the RLE version saves space by just storing the number of repeats and the colors, which is much shorter and more efficient. So as what you can see on the diagram, it shows an example with letters A, B, and C. So the original sequence is AAA, B, C, 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 C. After RLE compression, it becomes A3, B1, and C4. So RLE is officially effective when there are a lot of repeating elements in the data, like a row of similar pixels in the image. So in short, RLE reduces the file size by storing repeated data as a single value and the number of times it repeats. So how to choose right data compression algorithm? So there are few factors that we need to consider. First is the lossless compression. Again, this is a type of method when exact restoration of the original data is crucial. So it is best for text files, software, or any data where you cannot afford to lose any information. For example, documents or program files must remain exactly as they were after compression. So lossless compression is the way to go. While the lossy compression, you use this when reducing file size is more important than maintaining perfect quality. So this is common for images, audio, and video, where a slight loss in quality is acceptable. But the file size needs to be smaller for easier storage or faster uploading. For example, JPEG for images or MP3 for audio. And third is we need to consider the balance between, so we need to think about the compression ratio, speed, and data integrity based on your specific needs. So compression ratio, it refers to how much the file size is reduced. Speed refers to how fast the algorithm can compress and decompress data. Data integrity means how much of the original data is preserved after compression. And lastly, ensure compatibility. So we need to make sure the compression algorithm you choose is compatible with the platforms or devices where the files will be used. For example, you should ensure that the device or software where you will use the file supports the format you have chosen. So when picking a compression algorithm, think about how much data you can afford to lose, how important file size reduction is, and how fast you need the process to be, and whether will it be work in your device. So the application of compression algorithm is, first we have the file storage. So the file storage is the compression where we use to save disk space on computer and servers. So instead of storing a very large file, compression makes the file smaller so more files can fit in the storage device. So this is very useful for companies and users who handle large amount of data. Next is the data transmission. So when files are sent through the internet or networks, compression helps reduce the amount of data being transferred. So smaller files upload and download faster and use less na bandwidth. Third is multimedia streaming. So streaming services like Netflix, YouTube, and Spotify, they use compression so users can watch videos or listen to music smoothly. So without compression, videos would require too much internet speed and would buffer frequently. So compression reduces file size while keeping acceptable quality. And fourth is backup and archiving. Compression is also used for backup and archives. So when we store old files or create backup copies of important data, compression helps save storage space and makes large collections of file easier to manage. Fifth is the web optimizations. So websites use compression to make pages load faster. Images, CSS files, and JavaScript files are compressed so websites open frequently or quickly. Faster websites improve user experience and can also improve search engine rankings. And the next is the email attachment. So many email services have file size limit. So compression helps reduce the size of large files before sending them through email. making transfers faster and ensuring the files fit within the allowed size limit. And then seventh is the database storage. Databases often store huge amounts of information. Compression reduces the storage space needed and can improve performance because the smaller data can be processed more efficiently. And the next is the mobile apps. So mobile application compresses image, sounds, and other assets to reduce app size. Smaller apps download faster, use less storage space on phone, and run more efficiently. The next is the cloud storage. So cloud services like Google Drive or Dropbox may charge based on storage use. So compression helps reduce storage cost because compressed files take up less cloud space. Lastly is the scientific data processing. So fields like genomics, astronomy, and scientific research produce massive data sets. Compression helps scientists store, transfer, and analyze these large amount of data more efficiently. So, what are the most common data compression tools? So first is we have the WinRAR. So this is a popular tool for creating and extracting RAR and zip files. So it is known for offering strong compression and encryption features, making it a good choice for securely compressing data. Next is the 7-zip. This is a free open source tool that supports a wide variety of formats such as 7Z, ZIP, RAR, and TAR. It is especially known for its high compression ratios, meaning it can reduce file size more effectively than some other tools. Next is the WinZip. It is a widely used tool for compressing files into a zip format. It also supports cloud integration and file sharing, making it convenient for easy file access and sharing. Next is the gzip. It is a command line tool used on Unix or Linux na systems. It uses the deflate algorithm for compression, which is commonly used for compressing text files or logs. And then we have also the bzip2. It is a tool that compresses files using the Boros-Wheeler algorithm, which often yields better compression ratios than gzip, especially for text files. And then lastly is the pzip. It is a free tool that supports a broad range of format, including 7Z, RAR, and zip. It also offers additional security and encryption options, providing an extra layer of protection for your files. So, the data compression, libraries, and API. First is we have the zlib. So it is a widely used compression library that implements the deflate algorithm. So it is commonly used in software development for general data compression tasks, providing a good balance between compression ratio and speed. Next is the LZ4. It is another fast compression library that focus on speed rather than the compression ratio. So it is ideal for real-time data compression where speed is more important than achieving the best compression ratio. Next is the Snappy. It is developed by Google. Snappy offers very fast compression and decompression speed. It is mainly used in databases and big processing where speed is crucial for handling large amounts of data quickly. Lastly is the Brotli. Brotli is another compression library developed by Google. It is optimized for web content compression, offering better ratios than gzip often used in HTTP compression for website. And then the bzip2, it uses a different algorithm, again, the Barrow-Wheeler algorithm, and yields better compression ratios than zlib. However, the bzip2 tends to have slower performance. So it is often used where high compression is needed, such as compressing text file. And then we have also the XZUtils LZMA. XZ is a compression library using the Lempel-Ziv Markov chain algorithm, or LZMA. It provides high compression ratios, and it is commonly used for software distribution, especially when distributing large applications or archives. And then the Z standard, also known as ZSTD, is developed by Facebook and offers a good balance between compression speed and ratio. So it is suitable for a wide range of applications, offering fast compression while still achieving relatively high compression ratio.